While trauma has always been a part of the human condition, the psychological effects of exposure to traumatic experiences did not have a name until 1980.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, recognized that people exposed to violence often suffered from long-term psychological and physical effects. And research shows that those who have gone through trauma are more likely to attempt or commit suicide. This has been especially true for many veterans of war who survived the first battle, but too often lose the next one after they return home. A word of warning, the issues discussed in this story may be disturbing to some viewers.
Suicide is a disease of isolation. You're feeling alone, whether you are physically alone or you feel that way. I think there's active duty suicides every day, and for those that don't die by suicide in the military, they get out and they become a veteran suicide. You are definitely much more likely to die by suicide as a veteran than you are as someone that has not served in the United States military. It's extremely prevalent amongst a very small population. You consider less than 1% of Americans serve in the United States military, and they have a higher suicide rate than those that don't.
Certainly one is way too many. We'd love to get to zero, and the VA's top priority is veteran suicide. So we're really putting a full court press on trying to get veteran suicides down to zero. But I'm sorry to say that some veterans have committed suicide or successful suicides in Rhode Island. I think in fiscal year 22, we lost 7 of our veterans to suicide. The VA didn't do the best job of taking care of Vietnam veterans when they returned from Vietnam. So we're really trying to get our arms around those veterans who may not be enrolled to get that health care. We think if we can get them into the VA, we can continue to drop that number down.
Unfortunately, you don't know if an overdose was an intentional suicide attempt or is an accidental overdose. It's clear that some of those are suicides, right? The question, of course, could be how many. We advocate for veterans to get better access to care. Sometimes we in the veteran community and in the prevention community, we get a little caught up in the number, right? If we can get that 17 down to 15, that's great. That's 2 less every year, right? But it's still too many.
When you're experiencing all these crazy things, let's talk about it. It's not your fault.
Yeah. I did 2 tours to Iraq, one in 2015 and then again in 2016 in support of Operation Inherent Resolve. We were supporting the Iraqi army, so we got shot at with indirect fire on a very regular basis. But we spent most of our time treating Iraqi casualties, so we saw a lot of wounded Iraqi army. You can't escape some of the things you've seen. I saw a lot of Iraqis that were very, very damaged, right? And it's hard to put those things away, right? They never go away.
And they grew up learning all about the war on terror. And so David was thrilled to go there, to lead a unit there. I know he wasn't prepared for what he was going to experience when he got there. There were times he would call in the middle of the night and, "Mom, I'm scared. There's bombs going off everywhere." When David came back to the States, before he was sent to 29 Palms in California to prepare for his tour to Syria, he spent some time at home and it was good. He would tell about some of the experiences that he had been involved in. Did we know that he probably carried some PTSD when he returned? Yeah, we did. You didn't pick up on anything other than that was just part of the job. That's what they all did. And so he left to California. He was super excited.
He was a great guy, right? He was a Marine's Marine. He was dedicated to his craft as a machine gunner. And he was just a good dude all around.
And after he'd gotten settled on base, our daughter that lives out there is calling us in the middle of the night, Mom, we can't get a hold of David. Something's wrong. One of the officers called us and said, Mrs. Kavanaugh, I'm so sorry. We have found David. And at sunrise, 6:23 in the morning, the doorbell rings. And it is two Marines in their dress blues. I'm going to tell us that our son is gone.
I close my eyes and I can still see Sergeant Kavanaugh on the ground with the gun in hand in a pool of his own blood. So it's those images never go away. And it's as you get further and further away from it, it's harder and harder to move past it, right?
His twin brother, Tommy, he had gotten out of the Marine Corps, went through firefighting school, had become a paramedic, and we never saw him sober again. You could just tell he had this anger that was unbelievable. He had a sense of abandonment by his brother because they were identical twins. And so one day he just wrote a letter to our whole family and just said, I came into this world connected to my brother, and I can't wake up every day and look in the mirror and see his face and know that he's not here. And so I'm going to go be with my brother. And went back to his apartment and committed suicide. And it was unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Because of my line of work, I know of between 25 and 30 have died by suicide. There's a huge culture of alcohol use in the military. And we drink, right? We drink when we're happy, we drink when we're sad, we drink to celebrate, we drink to mourn. You'll find yourself trying to drink it away. So when you're under the influence to the point where you no longer see suicide as a bad idea, it makes it something that you could bring yourself to do. I think that's the piece we can really approach to start slowing down veteran suicides. I think a lot of veterans have had a suicidal ideation. I'd be lying if I told you I haven't had the thoughts, right? I had a gun in my hand once, right? I kind of came to and put it down. I wish I could say there's a way to end veteran suicide, but there isn't, right? There's no way to guarantee that veteran suicide is going to end. And anybody that suggests otherwise is they're lying or they're not being realistic, right? But we can absolutely reduce the frequency. And the way we do that is we get engaged. Getting them engaged in other things, whether that's emotional support animals, right? Dog training. I think dogs are a really good way to get veterans engaged in things.
When you have such intense grief, you have to find a purpose for your pain. Canines for Warriors, their mission is to prevent warrior suicide through assigning a service dog. We've trained them in our house and given them a dog to where now they can go be in the world. It's been an incredible healing process for us as well. Have these dogs in our home where they give us comfort and support, and then we get to turn that leash over to another warrior and say, because our son didn't have this opportunity, we want to give this opportunity so that no other parent gets that phone call that we got.
It's about re-engaging in the community. Getting re-engaged is kind of that first step into getting the mental health help, even if you're resistant to it.
At Comic-Con, we're going to see a lot of veterans that we otherwise wouldn't normally see. Veterans that have never heard of the Vet Center before, that aren't aware of our services. Hey, first of all, welcome home.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Do you know about the Vet Center?
The what?
The Vet Center. We're part of the VA, but we're separate from the medical center. We do readjustment counseling services, all right? That's our bread and butter. When we lose the military service, a lot of us, we don't know what's next. There's not necessarily a plan. So that's why we really try to focus on giving them opportunities to experience new things. We have licensed clinicians you can come in and talk to. It's all confidential. We do a lot of veteran engagement pieces. We do the archery every Monday night with the Narragansett bow hunters. Just yesterday, I had 3 Vietnam veterans in Mystic, Connecticut with me on a fishing charter, free of charge, because the goal is for you to go do it again.
Right.
Yeah, we want this to be a new hobby. Hobbies are so important to our community because the last thing we want is the veterans to go home and do nothing. We have Dungeons and Dragons for veterans. You know, that's when we get stuck in our own heads. You know, that's when we start thinking too much. I actually embed a clinician into that group because we find that a lot of veterans with, say a veteran has violent tendencies.
Right.
They tend to have violent tendencies in the game. And then after the session, our clinician goes over that stuff with them and says, hey, why did you attack that poor guy? He wasn't doing anything. We need to be engaged, and veterans do so much better when we engage with each other.
We're a family of sorts. So.
We are family.
Yeah.
So if you need something, anything, you call me, one Marine to another Marine, it's that easy, brother, all right? Semper Fi, brother. Hoorah. You know, we're gonna have a clinician on site just in case any veterans approach us and are in crisis and need to talk to somebody. We have full confidentiality access in the Mobile Vet Center. How many people know that they can come here and get the level of care that they're going to get? We hope that they all know about it and that they can come out here. Just in general, we hope that they know about us so that they reach out to us if they need us.
Yeah, I'll stop by and see you guys.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a shift, right? People are being more and more comfortable with the ideas of therapy, with approaching mental health and substance use, getting access to that care. There's still a stigma. They're told for the course of, at least 4, sometimes up to 30 years, that mental health care is for the weak. When they get out, they're going to continue thinking that.
The first thing you feel in suicide as a parent is guilt. What were the signs that I didn't see? There's no place for us within the system to talk about what we experience. We've got to have the military accept that these men and women talk about these traumatic experiences.
I think it's changing. If they serve in an environment where getting access to that care is easy and it's accessible and it's acceptable within the unit to get that care, when they get out, they will continue to engage.